Towards the end of this week, we received very exciting news about the potential reopening of the Rwanda-Uganda border that has been closed for quite some time. We do believe that this will ignite the economy of the border towns like Kabale and Kisoro that have almost become ghost towns. What do you think about it, Charles?
It's quite interesting, Shamim, because if you look at the impact of this border closure, it goes beyond these border towns of Kabale and Kisoro. Because at the macro level, a number of manufacturers and business people in Uganda are trying to look at the Rwandese market as a key element in their operations. Now, again, at a much broader level, at the ESC level, it was also seen to be working against the ESC spirit. But that's a thought for another day. Welcome to Money and Markets. I'm Charles Bod, your host.
And I'm Shamim Matovu. At Money and Markets, we are always committed to point you in the right direction where you find the support to help you run your businesses effectively. Tonight, we speak to Financial Sector Deepening Uganda regarding an opportunity that has been put together with partners to help you run your businesses effectively.
The Deal Flow Facility is a technical assistance and matchmaking facility. What this means is that the DFF has no capital of its own to invest. Instead, what we do have is a capacity building and technical assistance fund that then supports businesses once they qualify for technical assistance. To apply to participate in the Deal Flow Facility, you can go to our website under Deal Flow Facility and click on the application form to fill that in. Alternatively, we will link a QR code here that you can scan with your phone and access the application form. So to qualify for the Deal Flow Facility, we're looking at 3 key criteria. One, you need to be a Ugandan enterprise. And what that means is that you're registered in Uganda and you're operating in Uganda. Secondly, you need to be raising at least $500,000. And this can be either debt or equity. And thirdly, we need you to have at least 2 years of audited financial statements. So the Deal Flow Facility is sector agnostic. And what that means is that we are willing to work with enterprises in any sector in the Ugandan economy. So the long-term objectives of the Deal Flow Facilities are tied with Uganda's National Development Plan, which aims to create employment and jobs in the Ugandan economy. As such, our main priorities are aligned with the National Development Plan, and some of the sectors we are focusing on are agriculture, tourism, manufacturing, minerals, oil and gas. So the Capit Markets Authority, as a regulator of the financial sector in Uganda, aims to deepen the capital markets in Uganda. And what this means is by having a more vibrant ecosystem around capital raising and the number of transactions being done and increasing the vibrancy of the capital markets. So the Deal Flow Facilities, one of the Deal Flow Facilities' objectives and outcomes is to increase the number of deals that actually happen in the Ugandan market, thereby aligning with CMA's goal of deepening the capital markets ecosystem in Uganda. FSD Uganda exists to promote and create a competitive and inclusive financial market in Uganda. One of the key outcomes that the Deal Flow Facility aims to achieve is increasing the employment levels in Uganda and also increasing the number of women-led businesses that are actually able to access capital. I encourage Ugandan enterprises to apply to the Deal Flow Facility because whether or not you qualify for the 500,000 ticket size that is the minimum raise, you still benefit from other activities of the Deal Flow Facility. Case in point is that the Deal Flow Facility has a knowledge sharing mandate, which means that we are mandated with educating all SMEs in Uganda on matters related to capital raising, specifically in the Ugandan context. What this means is that you can access course materials that will help guide you on how to prepare your business to raise capital in the future. So the Deal Flow Facility was set up in concert with 3 institutions: Financial Sector Deepening Uganda, the Capit Markets Authority of Uganda, and the European Union, and it is funded by the European Union. So the European Union are the funders of the Deal Flow Facility, which is a 5-year program aimed at supporting Ugandan businesses to raise capital. And this program ties in with the EU's priorities as detailed in the Sustainable Business for Uganda initiative.
Well, a major problem that the economy is grappling with at the moment is the one of high fuel prices. Now, the number of factors responsible for this And what is more disturbing for a number of people is the fact that the prices have stayed up, despite, of course, some of the factors being dealt with. We try to find out what are the push factors for this scenario and what can be done going forward. Fuel prices have remained high despite an increase in the number of fuel trucks entering the country.
Currently, we have the number passing via Malaba is average around 60 trucks, 60 tankers carrying fuel, and around 80 because at times Busia clears more fuel than Malaba. So averagely, we have around 160, 170 trucks of fuel that come into the country on a daily basis.
Earlier last month, a new regime of COVID testing requirements targeted at truck drivers led to a major reduction in the number of fuel tankers entering the country, and with it, a sharp jump in pump prices. The situation has since changed, but not for the fuel prices.
I should say this is basically resulting from opportunistic behavior of some of the owners of these fuel stations to cash more money on an arbitrage which has been created by the lack of fuel in the recent times. It's not that the fuel is not there now, but people are just being opportunistic. Because I have seen coming from Lira, the tankers are offloading fuel. So why should you continue to maintain that reading which was arrived at on the basis of scarcity?
Today, the prices continue to hover above 5,000 shillings at major filling stations, and there are fears that this will have a dampening effect on an already fragile economy.
That means if the prices keep on escalating, like it has happened in the recent times, it means that it will affect overall inflationary levels. It means that the prices will go up in every aspect of our lives, whether it's small commodities will be affected by a slight increase in the prices of oil or fuel that we use.
Given the importance of fuel to an economy and the fact that Uganda is a landlocked country, there are calls to address this challenge right from the level of policy downwards.
There are a number of issues that must be done. One of the things that is done everywhere around the world, even in developed countries, there is what is described as a national oil strategic reserves. Now, recently, the Committee of Parliament, I think of Natural Resources, went and checked at our reserves in Jinja and other places. It was empty. So how in the world do we operate without creating a buffer of our oil reserves for the country?
This challenge is yet another litmus test to the potence of the East African common market spirit among member countries, with some observers attributing it to the lack of coherence in the trade-related policy formulation and implementation across member countries.
The problem is that we are into this East African community, but the East African community itself still has issues. We are not, the protocols are not followed. We are not, when it comes to trade and cross-border operations, we still operate as countries. We don't operate as East Africa. If all these protocols were harmonized and followed, we would not be having a problem. People would just be moving from Kenya to Uganda, and from Uganda back to Kenya. But you know, we're still dealing as countries, not as a community.
This fuel crisis was partly attributed to the double testing of truck drivers, both on the Kenyan and Ugandan sides. This, according to observers, caused delays which could have been avoided if testing on one side of the border could suffice. Well, that story brings us to the end of the first segment of Money and Markets. Thank you for being part of the show. We'll pick it from there after this break.